Hey everybody, it's Mike the Mike Man here once again. Time for another podcast. It is Sunday, June 12th, 2016. Let's go. Before we get into a score rundown of what's happened over the last 3 days in baseball, real quick White Sox news. This is probably old news to most of you by now, but just in case you haven't heard, I'll say it anyway. White Sox have cut Jimmy Rollins. He's been DFA'd. He's gone the way of Matt Latos. They have brought up hot shortstop prospect Tim Anderson, and they have also signed first baseman and former MVP Justin Morneau to a 1-year, $1 million deal. Now, reportedly, Morneau won't be ready till after the All-Star break, so it's kind of a second half trying to spark this offense kind of a deal. Morneau was good in 2014. He wasn't what he was back before 2010 when really he was the MVP and he was a great first baseman out in Minnesota. But he put up decent numbers in Colorado. He really wasn't that bad. And we'll see how he is in a White Sox uniform. It'll be welcome to have another bat in the lineup, particularly a good one, the caliber of Morneau's, what we know he can be. So, let's run down the score, shall we? Last 3 days for your Chicago White Sox. They won 3-1, they won 7-5, and then lost 1-4. And yesterday, well, Jose Quintana put up another good performance. He gave up a couple runs, but as the norm when Jose Quintana's on the mound, the White Sox just can't score enough runs when he's out there for them to do anything. For him to do anything, excuse me. It's just the sad fact of his career as a Chicago White Sox and basically his major league career is that he pitches wonderfully. He's a beautiful pitcher. It's just he can't get any run support. Today for the White Sox, Carlos Rodon strides out to the mound. He faces Yordano Ventura. Ventura is a guy with a reputation for fighting. Let's hope we have no fights today. Ventura is currently appealing his suspension. That's why he's starting today. And we'll see if he gets suspended. And we'll see if Machado gets suspended too. In case you don't know, Yordano Ventura hit Manny Machado in the leg, I believe, last week. And Machado went out to the mound and went after him. What's very interesting about this, the whole thing, is that Salvador Perez, the catcher for the Royals, didn't go out after him. Machado, that is. He didn't try and hold back Machado. He just kind of let him go. The entire Royals organization kind of let him go because they've been trying to trade Yordano Ventura because of all the baggage and all the nonsense associated with him. They've been trying to trade him for about a year, and they can't find anybody to trade him with. It's another Yasiel Puig. Yasiel Puig's an insanely talented batter, but he's just got too much messing around and too many issues. And Yordano Ventura is the same thing. A fireball pitcher, insanely talented, great stuff. There's just too much baggage with him, and it's a problem that the Royals can't seem to fix. And when you're that kind of a guy and you're producing, that's great. The problem is this year he's 4 up and 4 down, and he's got a 5.5 ERA. That's not good for a guy with a lot of baggage. You handle baggage guys if they're doing great. You don't if they're not. And for the Cubs, they had the off day on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Well, Friday, they lost the first game to the Braves, 5-1. Then yesterday, they were back to their normal selves. They won 8-2. And today, Sunday, the rubber match. Lester is facing Gant, and John Lester's got a 2.06 ERA. He has pitched wonderfully this year. He has really settled down incredibly nicely for them. And Bulls fans, the NBA draft is June 23rd. We will see what they do with their number 16 pick, who they can bring in to rebuild. Don't leave out that they only have the 16th pick on draft night because, like I mentioned in the first podcast, Jimmy Butler to Boston for 3, 14, and Marcus Smart is still a possibility. At least I hope and pray, because that's really a great way to jumpstart a rebuild. Now, as far as who the Bulls are going to take, I've seen Wayne Baldwin, point guard from Vanderbilt. I've seen Domantas Sabonis, big man from Gonzaga. I've seen Demetrius Jackson, point guard from Notre Dame. And I've seen my personal favorite, and who I would take at 14, Tyler Ulis, point guard from Kentucky. Now, the overwhelming sentiment here is point guard. And what I'm thinking would be you draft point guard. The reason to draft point guard would be to have him split minutes with Derek, or whatever Derek's going to do, whether he's going to sit on the bench or he's actually going to play. No one has any idea but him, apparent, or his inner circle. Domantas Sabonis, the reason I saw for drafting him was that Joakim Noah left, so you need a big. I think you can deal with Nikola Mirotic, and I think you can deal with Taj Gibson. I think you can deal with what you have big right now, or maybe sign somebody in free agency, because there is a big influx of money coming into the NBA. It's about $20 million in cap increase this year, and you have to spend, I believe it's 75% of your cap space this year and 85 or 90% next year. Don't quote me on those numbers, obviously. I'm not a GM, but I do believe that is the case. So you're going to have to throw bad money at okay people. And I feel like you're going to get enough okay bigs around that you're going to be able to sign. But guards, we really need to start drafting guards if you're the Bulls. And Tyler Ulis is a great start. He is the best point guard in the country, and that's not just because I'm a Kentucky fan and I've watched a lot of Kentucky basketball. He is the best point guard in the country. You watch what he does. You watch how he scored. He carried that Kentucky team. And yeah, Jamal Murray was there too, and he did a lot of scoring, and he shot the ball really well, and he's supposed to go maybe 5 to 3, somewhere in there. I don't think he's going to go 1 or 2, but somewhere between 3 and 5. That's fine, but Tyler Ulis was the backbone of that team, and I think he can be the backbone of a franchise for years to come. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? No. Is he going to make All-Star games? Sure. Is he going to be All NBA? Probably not, but he's going to be a solid point guard, and that's really where you should start building your team. I don't believe in building a team inside out as much as I like big banger style centers. I think you should start building at the point guard position. And I think Tyler Ulis is the guy to do that. He's a great passer, great scorer, and I think whether you hang on to Butler or not, he would work out really well. Now, let's say for the sake of argument that you trade Jimmy Butler and you trade him to Boston, you get 3, 16, and Marcus Smart. Then it changes a little bit. Then with 3, you look around, you say, do we take Dragon Bender? Do we take perhaps Jamal Murray to fill our empty shooting guard position? In that case, I say you take Jamal Murray. And because he is a great player, and I think he's got one of the higher ceilings in this draft. Then at 14, maybe you take Ulis, maybe you don't. If you believe that Tyler Ulis is your starting point guard of the future, then maybe you do take him. Maybe Marcus Smart doesn't have the best contract, and you just take Ulis. With 16, perhaps go small forward, perhaps go big. I think if you waited till 16 to draft a big, because if you have 3 picks, you really should go big, at least one of those. Sabonis would probably still be there. Another interesting pick for 14, if you grab Marcus Smart from Boston, would be Denzel Valentine, because although he is a 2 guard, I feel like he could play 3. He doesn't strike me as just a 2 guard kind of a guy. And the problem with trading Jimmy Butler is you still have Derek sitting there. And let's say they take Murray, Ulis, and Sabonis. Your backcourt is basically going to be, in that scenario, Rose, Ulis, and Murray. I don't know how many minutes Derrick Rose will get. I mean, I assume he'll get what he wants, because Fred Hoiberg's not exactly a strong stand-up kind of a coach. He hasn't proven that. But I would think that Rose would get whatever he wanted. Personally, I wouldn't. I would give minutes to Ulis, but that's just me. I'm not the coach of the Bulls. Rose will get what he wants. Ulis will get what's left over, and then you'll have Jamal Murray starting at 2 guard instead of Jimmy Butler. Definitely a defensive downgrade, just because Jimmy Butler is one of the best two-way players in this game. So that would be your back, and then at small forward you would have kind of whoever's left over, and at 4 you could have any number of free agents or Nikola Mirotic or Domantas Sabonis, who you took with 16. At center, kind of the same deal. Whoever's kind of left over. So it could look like Tyler Ulis / Derrick Rose, Jamal Murray, and off the top of my head, maybe Tony Snell, Domantas Sabonis, and question mark at center, whoever you can grab in free agency. So that would be your Bulls starting lineup. I'm not saying it's a winning starting lineup, but it's a rebuilt lineup. It is a start. Then next year, you grab a center, you grab a 3, you do whatever you can. And for those of you saying, well, the 3 position will get solved by Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant won't come to Chicago. Chicago's not a destination, and it never really has been. All the Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Melo, all these big ticket kind of people haven't come to Chicago because there's just not a winning culture here anymore. Jar Foreman and John Paxson just aren't doing what it takes to win. They don't have a winning coach, and they're committed to this coach for the next 4 years. This was year 1. And if the next 4 years are any indication, no one's going to come here for a long, long time until we have a winning coach back. And Chicago Bears fans, well, America revolves around football, and we are a whopping July 28th. That is when Bears camp starts. So we're somewhere around a month and 2/3 till Bears training camp. I'm not really expecting a lot from this Bears team this year, and I'll tell you why. I don't think it's going to be good. Kevin White, okay, great. We've given Jay Cutler, the Bears have given Jay Cutler weapons before in Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, and that's what happened. Crickets. There was no Super Bowl. There was no NFC title. There was no nothing. You've weaponized Cutler enough. It's time to rebuild the defense. And you could say that they took a step with that, with who they signed, and they definitely did. I give Ryan Pace great 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up and my big toe for signing Danny Trevathan. That was awesome. He loves John Fox. John Fox loves him. Vic Fangio is a great defensive coordinator. He will do really well with a guy like Trevathan. They signed Jarrell Freeman. They signed some other guys. Okay, great. And then draft night came. And they drafted Leonard Floyd. And time's going to tell whether this is a bust, a typical Bears draft pick, or whether this is a good player. Because if you read around on draft night and after draft night, he's a situational guy this year, and maybe that's all he'll be. Maybe he'll be great, but there's a decent chance he won't. And with the guys that were left on the board when the Bears picked, they traded up to pick this guy before the Giants did. I would have said, Giants, you can take him. I'll take someone better. But they really like Leonard Floyd. Who knows? Maybe this is the guy that Vic Fangio wants. The one glimmer of hope I have with Leonard Floyd is I did see one comparison to Von Miller. That Fangio, Von Miller in Denver, now Fangio, Leonard Floyd in Chicago. I hope he turns out like Von Miller. That would be absolutely amazing. But I just have a feeling you won't. All right, that's all the time I got for this Sunday's podcast. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you, well, sometime next week, hopefully. Peace.